The Motorcycle Monster is brought to you by the MRA. Whether it's motorcycle insurance, roadside assistance, or motorcycle training, the MRA can save you hundreds. Remember, help is on the way with MRA. When it comes to real craftsmen in the motorcycle world, most folks in the know will give the highest marks to the artists that restore vintage motorcycles. With tireless energy, these artisans work at their craft diligently, restoring our motorcycle heritage and helping us all understand the history and the uniqueness of our favorite antique motorcycles. Whether it's a BMW builder going through the World War II relics in a warehouse in Germany, or a Harley buff digging through motorcycle parts in a barn in Iowa, all of these special breed of professionals have the same passion. They just want to restore their favorite vintage project to the grandeur of the original. As years pass and the parts become harder to find, a few of the true purists actually have begun to remanufacture parts for these vintage darlings to the exact specifications of the original part. One of the most successful of these true visionaries, who carries on the tradition of one of America's first motorcycles, is Mike Tomas of Kiwi Indian of Riverside, California. Mike started his motorcycle habit at a young age, in spite of his parents' reluctance.
My parents told me when I was, well before I was leaving school, that I wasn't getting a motorcycle. They weren't pro motorcycles at all, not for any reason, but I wasn't going to get one.
His getting his father involved in the hobby helped him get the okay for his first two-wheeler.
However, when it come time for me to leave school, I got an apprenticeship in the automotive industry, engine rebuilding. I needed some wheels, and I thought, well, we don't have room at home to stick anything, so I convinced my dad that, hey, I'll get a motorcycle and he can learn to ride it too. So that went over pretty good, and from that I got my first motorcycle.
This young man living in New Zealand soon acquired an affinity to the American motorcycle, especially when he made his move from starter bike to his first Indian.
So I bought the bike for $500. I took it home, I pulled it down. It probably would have ran, but I wanted to restore it. It took me a few years to restore it. Just had to learn how to put it together, and since I was engine rebuilding, I made a lot of the components for it. So from that was started my love affair for Indian motorcycles.
In 1982, Mike made one of his biggest moves and came over to the U.S. With his abilities in the automotive field, his machine shop experience, coupled with his love for the Indian, Mike Tomas made his move into the manufacturing parts business.
One thing led to another, and I ended up traveling over to the United States in 1982. Then I got serious about 1988 and started my own business called Kiwi Indian Motorcycle Company.
When word came out about the making of a major motion picture about a gent from New Zealand, Burt Monroe, who came to America in 1962 to break a world land speed record on a 1920 Indian, a spark of interest came to Mike Tomas.
One day we got a call from the director of the world's fastest Indian movie, Roger Donaldson, and I'd heard some rumors about this movie being made, and I thought, boy, it'd be really cool to be involved with this, but how? I didn't know any connection. So out of the blue, I got a call from Roger Donaldson.
After his being contacted by movie producer Roger Donaldson, Mike and some hobbyist friends in New Zealand became important members of the fastest Indian technical team.
My friends in New Zealand were building the bikes. It was a very tight timeline. There's no way we could do it over here. So, and those guys are very, very good at building this stuff in New Zealand. So the two bikes that you saw running on the world's fastest Indian were Ducati 750 powered bikes. There was one real replica made. I mean, it was an identical to Burt's bike. And we fired that thing up for the very first time on Wendover airstrip, and it was so gosh darn noisy. And we were leaning over the motorcycle, it just sends shivers up your back.
The opportunity to work on this great project was truly a work of love for the crew.
Everybody wanted to be working on this movie. Nobody wanted to be working on something they didn't want to, and this is a movie that everybody wanted to be working on.
When asked about working with Anthony Hopkins, Mike was very impressive with his commitment to the film.
He wanted to do something different. Him and Roger Donaldson are good friends. He did it for about a tenth of his normal salary. he really, his heart was in this movie. He was having a ton of fun. He wanted to do it. He just wanted to make it a success.
Tomas was also impressed with Hopkins' portrayal of Burt Munro.
We've got, Josh has got poses of Hopkins in the same pose as original pictures of Burt Munro, looking through the handlebars. And it's the same darn guy. I mean, it's the same guy.